Hello and welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We are playing One Ring, second edition. We are continuing our Waking of Angmar campaign, and we are going to be able to get to a fellowship phase tonight, which is something we really like to do. We try to expand a little bit on it, RP a little bit. So hearing all of them ahead of time, they're all power gaming like crazy. They're like, okay, I'm not going to put any points here. I'm going to save up all my points for this. And oh, well, so sad. Anyhow, I'm just messing.
Meanwhile, I can't afford it much. I'm like, yeah,
because
broke.
you're saving up for the big stuff. You're one of the Wait,
I'm nickel and diamond stuff. I'm 1 and 2 in here and
crazy. There. Ashley's talking about getting awe and like
I considered
people
it
with her sweet grass. Like, take a look at this. Take a look at this sweet grass here.
No, I was saying as I yelled, Gilly kettle grass, like I'm Leroy Jenkins. But you know.
And then run to the back to fire more arrows.
Yeah.
Right. Like Leroy.
I run up to the front to scream in their face, and then I run right back.
She just does it like backwards, like Jenkins, Leroy, and back there she goes. I mean, it's fun. You're great. But yeah, we are continuing the adventure. This is episode 46. We're closing on an episode 50. We've been tossing around ideas all week. I'm exaggerating this so hard. Tossing around ideas for what we can do for episode 50. Seeing if we can do something interesting, something extra, something fun. And so we have a couple ideas for that, but we're still taking suggestions. Okay, let's should we start? Let's just start. I kind of am getting to the point where I want to start phasing out character intros. We're on episode 46. We don't need to introduce our characters every single time anymore. So we're going to dive in, actually, and I'm going to jump right into the summary, and then we'll do a couple little interlude scenes to sort of navigate the way back. Nothing, like it's not a full journey scene, but we're just going to do like a little kind of walk back and talk about things that kind of went down, and then we'll do our fellowship phase. So last time we started up, we were still in the north. We were near the ice bay of Forest Shell. We were on the northern tail of the Blue Mountains. We were inside an ancient dwarf mine, and you all had gotten into a very large fight with Lottie, a person we've known from almost the very beginning of the campaign. One of the original villains of the story. A villain of she was kind of a clan leader of the hill folk, sort of these ancestors of Rudour within the lore of like the Angmar lore, kind of like turned inside with them against Cardalin and Arthedain. But you all got into a really brutal fight, and the cool thing was that you killed her. You took her out. So Lottie fell, but the battle kind of raged on for a little bit, and it was then complicated by the sudden appearance of a wraith. So we had a wraith kind of just sort of waft up out of possibly this fallen axe that she had been carrying. I think 1 or 2 of the remaining hillfolk fled, but some of them remained. So did your dwarf and Losseth allies, those that were still alive. Tons of heavy wounds, both of the mind, like from shadow, and also, actual physical wounds kind of started to grow a bit, but you did prevail. Eventually, Snagit and the remaining Oathbreakers arrived. He got into like this fit of anger as he looked around and he saw all these dead dwarves, his people, right? And he lashed out at Daggett. He actually struck Gilly at one point, and he got pretty dark and sullen to the point where he didn't really talk to anybody once Rollin, one of the elderly dwarves that was part of the crew, kind of took over and seemed to side with you all. You spent the next couple of days resting, trying to heal, but you also were kind of planning how to defeat that crazy beast of Angmar that somehow found its way, kind of chasing down King Arvidui into these halls. And you came up with some careful planning. You avoided a direct confrontation. You lured the beast out of its lair into this old shaft that kind of went down further into the mine. You used this derelict drill to sort of pin the creature inside of that shaft. Then you collapsed the earth, and you rained down fire from above and kind of trapped it there. Now, after this, Rollin ensured that Snagit kept the deal that he made with you all. So you were given Kobor's cleaver, some scattered cragstone treasures, things like that. and a promise to send aid when needed. Unfortunately, a lot of these dwarves fell, so there's not as many people that are there to help you. But they have promised to send aid if you need it at some point. The brothers Daggett and Snagget had a horrible confrontation and seemed to fracture. And also, Floy kind of went down a bit of a dark path as he kind of took on some traits. Do you remember the trait that you took on, Floy? What's the fourth tier?
It was thieving.
Thieving. Okay. So you're just stealing stuff from people.
Pretty much.
Yeah, you bid the Oathbreakers farewell, and you kind of began your journey. And we decided, I think off air, that we were going to do our fellowship phase. We're going to remain in the Blue Mountains. We're just going to return to Cragstone and Gladrock, those halls, and kind of do it there. So here's what we're going to do. In lieu of doing kind of character intros like the traditional way, let's do this. Let's kind of. I have a couple things that are going to happen, I think, on the return trip. But I also kind of want all of you to sort of describe something that happens as you leave this northern mine area and return to Gladrock and Cragstone. By our map, Cragstone is the northernmost, probably about a day north of where Gladrock is. But I want you all to describe something that happened, or something you did, or something you witnessed as you returned back. Everyone's going to do one. And then I have a few I'm going to weave in as well. So let's see. Who would like to go first? What's something that your person was doing, that your character was doing on their way back?
I'll go first.
Okay, man.
On the way here, even we saw those disgraceful figures or statues.
Oh boy, did we just lose Long? I think we just lost Long.
I think
right
we
in
did
the
just
middle.
lose Long.
Look
The
at
most
him.
reliable of us, too.
He has too. Yeah, it looks like he's getting ready to spit. Look at him. Look at that face.
He's so angry.
He's gonna so mad I'm gonna spit. Okay, let's go ahead and kick over to somebody else while Long hopefully reconnects here. It's funny because you thought you were going to be the one who was going to disconnect Steve. Wait, he's moving again. There he is. Long, you're back.
Hey.
You literally just froze in this position for a good 30 seconds.
What the heck?
That's what you were.
Oh,
Except
those were-
angrier. Okay. Go ahead and start from the beginning. What was Floyd doing on the way back?
Yeah, I was gonna say, on the way here, we saw those carvings made by that dwarven.
It was the artist, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the
I know what
artist.
you're talking
I was gonna check up on that, see if he came back, made anything new.
Okay. So we'll head back. If you recall, there was like they were kind of like these mock carvings of some of like the grandfathers of the dwarves, basically, right? And you and Daggett had spent some time there. You found a small little cave where whoever had been working in these had stayed. Daggett kind of was slow rolling it and trying to slow everyone down a bit, giving Snagget some more time. But you were instead trying to kind of undo some of the mockery. When you head back, you do not encounter any of the artists. You do see that it's actually harder to find at first because like you've managed to make it less obvious as you were kind of carving away and chipping away, almost like kind of destroying what was done to it. But you don't notice any signs of anyone having returned. It's only been probably about 5 or 6 days, maybe a week since you were last here, as that was fairly towards the north end. But I'll tell you this: let's roll a test. Go ahead and give me. What do I want? How about an awareness test?
Okay, I have a Beasley 1 pip in that. But I got a 12, which is not enough actually.
Like a 12 on the die, on the feat die?
No, total.
Okay. You hear the sounds of kind of scuffling nearby. You hear like these almost sounds of fighting. You see like it kind of echoes and cascades down the mountain a bit. You look around and you can't at first see it. But after a minute of kind of like peeking and looking, maybe it's something like this, maybe it's them, you do notice that there are these 2 mountain rams, these big kind of curled, gnarly looking horns, kind of cascading around their heads a bit. And you see that they are just like brutally smashing into one another, like to the point where it's looking extraordinarily violent. They like kind of run apart along this ledge and just smash into one another. You see them collapse to the ground, kind of stagger up a little bit, and they kind of return and sort of do the same thing. As you're watching though, Floy, you notice that at a certain point they smash and you hear this sickening crunch and both of them fall and don't get back up. And it's on a ridge, probably about 50 feet above. It's kind of like you don't really see an easy walkway up, but you can see their bodies just there. And the rest of you can be there as well, too.
Some rams that...
Yeah. 2 rams smashing into one another to the point where they just knock themselves out.
I don't know if that's normal or not. I know the rams fight, but to knock each other out.
Generally, there's a purpose intended, but not mutual. I might examine them a little bit closer, see if perhaps some illness has come to them. So Aurenia would want to kind of go up to the
Sure.
rams and kind of look at them. Are they, like foaming at the mouth or any sort of like, sign that anything is off with them?
Yeah, your athletics is so good, I'm not going to bother to make you roll. You have it favor 3 pips. I would say without a whole lot of difficulty, you can scramble up the slope. Like, again, there's no clear path, but because you're just, you're kind of adept at this, you get up there and you notice, first of all, neither one appears to be breathing. And you think that they have quite literally killed themselves. When you kind of examine the bodies, you can, at this point, you can roll a healing test. It would probably be ideal.
Okay. And I do for flavor, just want to point out that I do have an injured left arm and shoulder. We were talking in the Zoom call earlier. When I was injured last time, I was quite the whiny Aurenia about my leg hurting. So I would imagine that
the trend continues.
As she's going up the ridge here. But that is a great success on the healing.
Yeah, you take a look. They don't seem to be exhibiting any signs of illness. Like you check the tongue, you check, eyes, you check kind of any sort of exposed skin. You don't see anything to suggest like rashes or discoloration or infection. There's some scars here and there, it looks like, but nothing out of the ordinary. Some scrapes and things like that. Some you can tell are bruises or these huge, like large contusions, but you imagine that likely that just happened. But for whatever reason, they have just sort of ran themselves to death. You're up here. Go ahead and roll, I would say, a scan while you're up. But you're confident that they don't seem sick.
Okay. That is a 16. Oh, exactly. 16. Yep.
Okay. So while you're up here, so it was this ridge that was about 50 feet up, kind of on this rocky slope. No easy way up. You had to kind of climb. And when you get up to this ridge, it's a very narrow ledge that you're on. And you notice that it's kind of covered in this sort of drooping vines and vegetation just kind of covers over top of it. This sort of green-brown coloring that almost blends in the distance. And as you get there, you notice actually that the cliff face, the rock face behind which they were fighting, you can see that there's something on it. And you peer a little closer and you kind of pull back some of the vines and stuff here and there. And you can see what looks like there's been runes of some kind carved into this. You can see the familiar dwarvish script of some kind. And it's a little faded. It definitely looks a little old and rocky. But as you're looking, you also notice that there appear to be some kind of seams and some strange mechanism at the very top. Like you think this might be some kind of vault door.
Huh. So I will kind of relocate myself however far I need to kind of go down to be able to kind of get Floyd's attention again.
You're only 50 feet away. Just call down. It's fine.
Okay. Floyd, you may want to come up here. There's some markings in a vault, perhaps?
Yeah, I'll come check it out. Climb up there with her.
Okay. You have pretty good athletics too, if I recall. So
Yep,
we'll say, yeah, no issues really. You climb on up. You take a look, and she's not wrong. You see that the script itself it's crude. Like it doesn't look. There's no artistry to this. In the same sense, like even though like the mocking carvings like a little ways from here, like there was artistry to it. There was deftness. There was someone who did this who was a crafter. Like here, it's it gets the job done, but it's not particularly impressive. But you can tell that like it in this sort of dwarvish script, it says Agrim, son of Fawn, he who took more than his share.
See if we can get it open at all.
Sure. Craft would probably be ideal, or you can just sort of try to bust it open. But if you try to bust it open, that's going to be ill-favored and penalized.
All right, I'll just craft for favor there. It's a great success.
Okay, yeah. I mean, Ireneo points out that strange mechanism. Maybe she gives you a boost, or maybe you pull over a chunk of rock and you climb on top. And it's not so much it's like some kind of it's like a crude bar across the very top, almost like it's a lock, like as if something was inside, and it was like couldn't get out because of the bar across the out. But you undo it, you unhook it, you unhinge it. You and Ireneo are able to kind of push the door open. And what you get this sort of this horrible old smell, dust kind of cakes into your face. It's very dark. If one of you has a torch or lantern, you hold it up and you can see that it very much seems like a tomb. Floy, as you look around, there's treasures left and right, silver, gems, tattered, tapestries and things like that. Not anything particularly ornate, but there's a handful. Like it's nothing necessarily, illustrious, the equivalent of what I would say treasure 3. But it's not anything that's too overwhelming. But you also notice that there is right by the door, as you push it open, you hear something drag, and you see that there is a body of a dwarf, long since decayed. And you can see that they are kind of lying on the ground, and as you push the door open, it kind of slid part of the body and kind of separated some of the bones, things like that.
I'm guessing the tomb's not for him, and he just passed on her.
And Ireneo would sort of just wonder. So, Floy, you said that the markings say he who took more than his share?
That's what described.
That could be fortuitous that we came upon this. And she's sort of still giving him the stink eye for the sword that he has in his possession. This could be a well-timed warning, perhaps, for all of us to only take
well-timed indeed. He has too much he can carry. I'll take it off his hands.
Floy, you're stooping to grave robbing? Is this what you do now?
He has no use for it.
We do still have our honor, do we not?
You won't know. It's fine. I'll return it when I'm done with it.
I don't believe you.
Believe me or not. It doesn't matter.
Floy, I am concerned. We've all seen things, and we've all We all are not the same as we once were. But this thirst for treasure is
You're being a
not
hypocrite.
a good look.
Did we not just grave rob that tomb of ours? This sword that you so desperately want.
There are items that can help in our fight, and items that are just for the accumulation of wealth. And Iriniel sort of thinks about it more than she wants to let on that she did, and so she just sort of like, and kind of walks away.
So, Floy, you collect the bits of silver and treasure and kind of start moving on out. Iriniel, on your way out, you notice something actually on the door that you push in. You step in, get the torch up. You turn around to leave. You hear the sounds of Floy clinking, putting together various mundane treasures, but not without value. You do notice that there are markings on the inside of the door. It's not lettering of any kind, but it looks more like hard scrapings, barely registering on the stone. Not unlike someone scratching at a door, or like in trying to get out, kind of feeling. As you might get the sense that maybe they were trapped in here, not necessarily while they were dead or on their own accord.
Oh,
Coupled with the little mechanism out front that kind of locked it.
Floy. He was locked inside for his greed. He was not just buried here. He was so greedy that someone determined he needed to die.
Well, let us get out of here before they lock us in.
So you grab your things, you shuffle on out. You can add treasure 3 to your score. You can also add 1 shadow to your score. And then you can start climbing down the ridge back to the rest of the group.
I'm just picturing
Misty.
Floy at this point because he's got a sword, an axe, a cleaver, and how much treasure? Like all
16, no.
Not enough, really.
He
No.
looks like he should be over encumbered, and he's really round. He's like a freshman in high school with like the turtle backpack that sticks out really far.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so after this scene for the Iriniel and Floy, or it could have been before, Gilly or Daggett, anything that you can think of that happened on your way back?
Yeah. Unless you want to go first, Ashley.
Go for it.
So at some point when we would have stopped to rest, we're probably cooking over the fire. We've got our camp made. I'm sitting on a boulder and I'm looking through my pack for some rations or something like that. And I find a small bundle, just something covered in cloth. And I pull it out, and those of you that are paying attention would see that I'm confused. I don't know what this is, what it's doing in my bag. And I slowly unfold the rag, and I find the armband of the Mirdan. My brother's armband was in my bag.
I'm going to add to this and say that in that bundle, you find other things as well. You find a few other of these like precious adornments from the Cragstone vaults, like a gem that's been fixed in a particular way, or a necklace or a charm, things that also went missing. You also found something that doesn't actually fit really, as it's not one of the Cragstone vault treasures. It's It's something that's it's a Snagget's prized possession, something that he's always carried on him since he was young, something important to him, something that you would recognize, something that he would write, something anyone who knows anything about Snagget would recognize. I'll leave that to you to describe what that is. But you do notice it's not just treasure wrapped up in here, or at least not just valuable treasure to others, but something else that signifies this is from Snagget.
I'm going to say that it is a stone pipe. He made it himself long, long ago, and it's the ugliest thing. It's very poorly made, but he was always so proud of it because it was one of the first things he ever crafted. He'd been using it for years and years and years. The inside is just charred black, and it actually was difficult to make because making a pipe out of stone, that's not natural. But I unfold this bundle on my lap, and I have a look of disbelief, and you see that my eyes, the tears begin to well up, but I just brush them away real quick and just kind of turn my head so I'm not looking at the group.
I'd say all of you probably observe this. Up to you whether you want to do anything with it, but we say you were at the campfire or something together, so you might have seen this. You don't have to do anything. You can just stay quiet. But you do see, I would say all of you would probably notice the band. And all of you were there when Sorendir gave it to Snagget on a whim, like the asshole that he was. You just kind of handed it over. So yeah, if any of you wanted to pop in there, you're welcome to. Otherwise, we can continue on.
Aurenial would kind of still trying to get to know this new member of our fellowship, would just fairly straightforward, like, hey, it looks like you and your brother made up after all.
Yeah, it looks like we have.
That's
Gilly, could you spare some sweetgrass?
Yeah, she takes like the last bit that she has, and then she sees that you have a stone pipe, and she's looking at it, and she very politely says, "That's interesting." And like not remarking upon the craftsmanship at all, because the one that she has is from her father, and it's decorated very beautifully with like carved acorns along the ridge and stuff like that, as she does not remove hers, as if like pulling hers out would be bragging, like, look at my nice pipe, and she gives you sweetgrass.
I hold up the pipe and I show Aurenial, Floyd, Gilly, whoever wants, and you see this look of pride in Daggett's eyes as he says, "It's the ugliest thing I've ever seen."
Oh yeah, it is.
I must say that it is a first for me to see such a pipe of stone.
How does it smoke? Does it hold it well? Does it heat up too much because it's stone?
Let's find out.
Montage. Gilly,
right, montage.
Daggett.
You guys just
smoking it up.
Yeah. And I gotta say, like, I hope someone raises an eyebrow at Gilly, right? At this, like, wait a second. Didn't you said you used all your sweetgrass to make those bombs.
I know.
We needed more sweetgrass. She was holding out on the group, I think. Right? That's canon.
She used the
was holding
public
down the group.
stash.
Yeah.
She didn't use the private stash.
This is
That's
my
what it
private,
is.
my private little sachet of the good goods.
I was envisioning it was sort of like taking this sort of like balled up bit of leather and like straightening it and like scraping like every last like little bit of like leaf that might be left in there.
Leather in there.
Okay. So we have a nice night of some smoke, And you do have the armband has found its way back into the party once more. And then Gilly or Aurinial, anything you're thinking of that's happening here? Hold that thought for 1 second. Lost Caravan RPG, thank you so much for the raid. Very, very much appreciate it. We're just getting started here. Playing some One Ring 2nd edition. Hope you had a good game today. But we're going through our like kind of opening start here. So Gilly or Aurinial, what are you two doing on your way back?
So I would say Aurinial is kind of going back to her injury. She's concerned. Like she's been injured before, but it's been more, kind of like other parts of her body that didn't necessarily affect her quite in this way. And so she, kind of has her arm is injured. And so she is kind of out and about, kind of going off path a bit as we're walking, and trying her best to see what she can do with her sword one-handed. It's two-handed, but she certainly can't do anything with a bow. And, just in case we run into anything. And so she's kind of just at bushes, just sort of kind of swiping with the sword, quite awkwardly, just kind of trying to figure out what this might look like. And I was thinking that maybe along the way she might see some berries in the bushes that she's kind of like swiping up. And that would just kind of be a bit sobering that just, we're still not that far away from having traveled with Sorendir. And kind of in that transition of group where Daggett's sort of in the group now. And she was kind of struggling kind of with him coming into the group and just kind of seeing the berries and just taking a second, just taking a deep breath and considering Sorendir's fate.
So on the same line of thinking with your injuries, you did suffer some serious ones to the point where I think one of them was 9 days, I think.
Oh, it was 18 and I still have 16 left.
Yeah. So I knew there was some that were quite long. So travel back is not easy. There have been nights where your injuries have kind of kept you from falling asleep well. And I'll say it's probably the same day you were kind of you had that little moment with the berry bush. Your injuries kind of keep you up one night. Maybe some stitches burst, or maybe some bones were just kind of aching or something like that. But you're laying awake, you're on this kind of rocky ground, kind of cool, cold ground. And as you're looking up, it's an immensely clear night. There's no clouds in the sky at all. And the stars are just shining like ever brightly. And as you're kind of just staring up, trying to keep your mind off the pain, you notice like this grouping of stars just seems to just be brighter than everything else. You don't necessarily know how the elves might attribute some of these stars or who to, but you see them grouped. It's like this sort of 5-pointed in a way. The light kind of pulls away from the center of each one of the stars. It kind of gives you this sort of feeling of, or this idea of like Arner or Arthur Dane. So many stars appear in their emblems in kind of different ways. Kind of the lineage you remember seeing on the sword that you found inside of that mine that Floyd now has taken from you. Mm-hmm. You remember seeing that actually engraved at one point on the sword. But as you're watching, and the pain's kind of starting to sort of fade a little bit, your eyes are kind of starting to get a little heavier. You watch as the lights up above just blink out, disappear, as it's just this huge blotch of darkness just suddenly covers the sky. You hear the sound of like this terrible screech, like, and then you hear what sounds like the flapping of these like heavy wings as something quite enormous passes by far overhead. And for a few moments, those stars are gone. a shadow kind of moves over top of you. You see it kind of travel off in the distance up the mountain. And then the stars are visible once more. But this time they're lessened somehow. They're less brilliant. The light doesn't seem to beam out away from them as they did a moment ago.
And Aurinial would, if we had a fire up, Aurinial would just sort of scamper just to kind of throw dirt on the fire, just in case this was not a one-directional flight.
Sure.
She'll just, camp out the fire, pat the fire, and just see if there's a high point that she can try to track this path and be able to see if it returns. Either a high point or just a better clearing to be able to see.
You're on a mountain slope. You can kind of climb up, but you do see it flying up further, and then at a certain point, it's so dark that you kind of lose the image. But that means it's not coming back, at least. But you do see it going upwards and upwards, and you don't see it appear again that night, whatever it is.
She's wide awake at this point. It had been the pain keeping her awake, and now she's just sort of distressed at this. Did the flapping of the wings sound similar to when we were in Angmar? Did it sound different than that?
So one thing you remember you're talking about the drake you saw in Angmar. One thing and you were able to observe is that it glided as opposed to flapped its wings. It was more of a glide. So it didn't give you that vibe, I'll say.
Oh, which is just even more distressing that this is yet some other creature. So, and she will keep watch for the rest of the night. And in the morning, we'll share with the group the kind of vague description of what flew overhead the night before.
Sure. I'll say morning will come, and there's no real signs of it. No one else saw anything or heard anything. Nothing comes back in the morning. There's really no evidence of anything other than Renil's story. But you push on, basically. Gilly, anything? I think you're the last one. Anything that you do or observe or see or experience along the way back?
So Gilly kind of takes this time of travel to kind of tend to everyone. So she's helping Aurinial with her wounds and her injuries. She's keeping an eye on Floy, and she's using this time to get to know Daggett. So one of the nights, as we're sitting at the campfire, she pulls out her paints that she was gifted, and I hope you don't mind, but can I sketch you? Since you're part of the party now, it seems to be only fair to include you in my story of our tales. Because as we're walking, she's telling him how she's been chronicling our adventures that we've been doing, and some of the things that we've done.
I imagine that I have a mouthful of food. I brush off some crumbs, comb my beard as best I can with my fingers, just flash a smile with crooked teeth, and I got my bent nose from when it broke. How's this?
Great. And she's like, you can keep eating, that's fine. And so the image that she winds up sketching is he's kind of hunched there on a log, and he's got some sort of haunch of something that he's gnawing on, and he's kind of smiling at as he's doing it, and then his crooked nose.
So yeah, you spend the night at dinner sketching Daggett, using Lady Ortola's inks. In the morning, as you're breaking camp, you're kind of going through that sketchbook. You do notice something a little odd, Gilly, because in in the pages after that sketch of Daggett, you notice that there's a string of like kind of crudely drawn sketches of Sorendir. You see him, he's cold. You see there's like this anger in his face. It's sort of violent looking and scary, similar to the way he looked at you when the two of you were trapped inside of that icy cell in Othrengul momentarily. And you can see that as you're flipping the pages, like the sketches are just going increasingly more angry and more angry. And then the last of those images is just this splotch of inks where one of your jars from Lady Ratolos just seems to have been smothered over the page and it's kind of created this caking effect over the parchment. You don't really have any memory of making these drawings. Like they weren't there the day before. You remember drawing Daggett, you go to sleep, etc. And as you're like kind of just staring at this last page with just this caked on kind of ink or pigments that she gave you, it's just this smear of kind of this off black, almost like a purplish color. You watch as that caked ink begins to just crack. Like this little just sort of starts to form and kind of breaks off in different directions here and there. And you can hear it kind of echoing in your ears all of a sudden.
Gilly snaps her book shut tight really quickly and just stuffs it in the bottom of the pack. Because it's been a while since she's heard that horrible crackling noise. Ever since we kind of like reunited, she hasn't really heard it. And the fact that she's hearing it again, she starts to kind of panic, and she gets up and she starts breaking down camp. Like some of you are still sleeping, and Gilly has already doused the fire, and she's not sure if she was the one who drew it or if this was some terrible prank. But it's got her super uneasy.
What are we in a rush? You know, I'm not moving so quickly these days.
We should go.
Are you okay?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Just some of my ink spilt in it. It's ruined some of my notebook.
I know how important that journal is to you. Well, I'm sure we'll get you more ink.
Yeah. I used the ink from Lady Ortolos and we failed her.
That does weigh heavy on my mind as well. But
I shouldn't have used it. I didn't earn it.
You've plenty earned that and more with everything that you've done so far. We're trying to recruit more to the fight. You're right. We haven't done what we needed to for her yet.
What if Sorendir's still alive and we just left him there?
This may be one of the...
We were supposed to be his friend, Aurelial, and we just left him there because he didn't want to leave, and we didn't stop him. We should have tied him up that night so he couldn't leave.
We could have, but that's...
Like, I've been thinking about it. Like, if only we had tied him up, maybe like to Floy's back, because Floy's strong, and then we could have just walked him right back. And sure, he'd be mad at us, but at least he'd be alive, or we'd know what's happening. Not knowing what happened is the worst.
It is. You're right. He made his choice. We could have made it for him, but he made his choice.
Friends are supposed to stop friends from making dumb decisions, and we didn't do that.
You are right.
And Gilly's kind of like takes a shuddering breath, and she goes over to Daggett and Floy, and she kind of nudges both of them. Let's start. Let's go.
So you guys continue. It's not too long after that you kind of reach the site of Crackstone. You can see from a distance the large doors. You can see kind of the small groupings of a few dwarves outside. You can see that there's some kind of merchant caravans here and there that maybe shuffle between the different dwarf halls that we've begun to populate, or from other locations. But I'm going to say, before we dive into our fellowship phase, we'll say as you arrive at Crackstone, word gets around that you've come back, and very quickly, probably within an hour of your arrival, you see the captain of the guard, Thrambin, kind of seeks out Floy and Daggett specifically, and he says, "So, what be the news of this one's brother? I don't see him with you."
He's not to be worried about anymore. He's no longer with us.
What do you mean by that? No longer with us. You were supposed to fetch him and bring him back with the other Oathbreakers.
It was a large battle. There's not much left.
Large battle? You fought them?
No, we fought with them. It was Hillfolk. Where we ended up.
What are these Hillfolk? What do you mean, Hillfolk?
They're plunging the mines.
There were folk at the mines. And you fought them, and Snagit died.
As many other.
I'll hand out the pouch of like the gems and bits from the vault that Snagit left me. We salvaged all we could.
Kind of looks at the two of you, extraordinarily suspicious. Go ahead and roll a persuade test. However, you can get this at favored. Whoever wants to, which of the two of you wants to roll, you can get it at favored because you give back some stuff.
I'm already favored,
okay.
And I would like to spend a hope to make it a magical success using my broken spells, my dwarf feature.
Okay. Go ahead and roll it. See how many extra successes you get.
I took that ability just so I could lie and automatically succeed. That's the whole reason. Oh, that's one too many dice. There we go.
Lying and cheating all at once. Look at that.
Yeah, usually it's only Melissa who does that.
Only a single success.
Okay, but you got your magical success on top of it, right?
The magical success is the single success.
Okay. He's suspicious. Like, you can tell. He looks at this stuff and he looks at you. He looks over at Floy. Not a single one of them dwarven oathbreakers made it out of a fight with hill folk. All of them perished, is what you're telling me here.
A few scattered, but there was no traces of them.
Ah, there's the truth of it. Was Snagit one of those who scattered then?
No, Snagit did not run.
He looks at you. He looks at Floy. You get the sense that he is not 100% satisfied, but he's close enough. He's got pretty much all the treasures back. He looks over at, I'm assuming one of you has the cleaver, is that right?
Yeah, we got it.
And he looks over at you, Floy. I imagine, are you going to be handing that back over too, Master Floy?
Well, here's the thing. I wouldn't have gone out there for him if it wasn't for this.
Taking something from the vault means you should be putting something in to replace it.
Yeah, I think the plan was to offer my axe.
Okay. Just take a look at that. Like, as you hand it over, what does your axe look like?
It was the crafted one. It's got the carvings, engravings. Even has the
Holds
name.
out.
Yeah.
Has a name on it? Doesn't have to.
No, it doesn't. Okay.
Yeah, it's up to you. He takes a look at it. Fine enough make it is. Maybe even better make than old kobolds. But the stories that cleaver has attached to it are the main reason why we hold it in such high esteem. So, Master Fly, what stories are attached to this here axe of yours? And what can we tell those who come to look at it about your exploits?
Yeah, this one is a year's worth of it. It's just like all the unknown beings it's come across with, all the battles it's been used in.
He listens dutifully. He chuckles every now and then, moments of where he feels swimming through a dark water underneath a keep, and he saw, okay, well, entertaining at the very least. I see. But I have heard tales from folk, Balin, of course, who can confirm that you travelled into the dark recesses of Angmar and cut the head of a special kind of troll. And if Balin, son of Fundin, says that this is something that happened, then so be it. As for the rest of it, I'll say maybe. Maybe it happened. Maybe you embellishing. Either way, it's a fair trade for now. And he'll kind of take the axe from you, make sure, and he'll nod at you for the cleaver. He'll look once more towards Daggett. Yeah, he fell, did he? I'm sorry for your loss there, Daggett. I can't say that I cared much for your brother, but he was your brother. My sympathies.
I can't say I cared much for you either.
Kind of considers that for a minute. And then you see kind of a rough chuckle. All right. Off with you now, as you were. And he kind of turns around and starts walking back deeper into the vaults to put away the Axe of Floy. And why don't we use this time then to transition Will Stritches to our fellowship phase? Because that's essentially an undertaking we kind of just took there. So let's go ahead and kick into our fellowship phase, yeah?
Fellowship phase.
All right, let's get a little music going.
Who are we shipping this fellow phase?
What?
Ashley has her pick because, we're with the dwarves.
It's not Yule, though.
This is true.
All right, so we follow most of the rules here, but we embellish a bit. We like to kind of dig into the role play more. So if you've not watched or listened to us do this before, we do follow the rules of the book, but we do also kind of expand a little bit. We're also adding a new wrinkle that we've decided, as we've had a very generous audience that has kind of donated bits and things to us to help out the party. We're adding a new thing for those. So normally 100 bits usually gets a bonus die, and 500, they can spend that multiple times to get a favored. We're also going to add in they can burn some of those audience bits to get extra undertakings. It's something that our buddy Aaron did over on Garblag when he was running some Blades in the Dark. And getting extra downtime actions, and I really liked it. I thought it was actually a good idea. So let's totally steal that. And okay. So you guys ready? There's the fellowship phase.
Ready.
Yeah, we'll just go through this like normal. Set duration. So you guys probably made it back at the end of spring, start of summer. So I would say you were probably gone for a couple weeks, and we're probably pushing near the end of spring. So I would say, considering Iriniel's injury, and just the need to train, the need to do some research and things like that, this is probably going to push you into summer by the time we get up. So we'll probably say like a month maybe, and by then we'll be full into summer, or at least within the first couple weeks of summer. So that's the duration we're going to go with. Destination we've already chosen. I'm treating it as you can have your events, your time when we RP our growth. It could be in Crackstone, it can be in Gladrock. They're close enough that you can get there safely within a day or two. There's also a forest that extends off to the east. So if any of you want to kind of just go out into the wild, that's fine. So we can do things like that as well. And we're not really going to roll handwave travel if you do any of that kind of stuff. So first thing you guys need to do is you got to perform some updates. You all earned 13 skill points and 13 adventuring points from the last adventuring phase, which you can now spend. Remember that you spend skill points to increase your skills. And as Stephen just learned this morning, you spend adventuring points to take valor, wisdom, or I think it's to increase proficiency too, right?
Right, combat proficiency.
I knew you spent them for valor and wisdom, but I've never actually upgraded my combat because Sorendir didn't focus on that.
Do we have the Nightbot chat Stephen Nurse's characters?
I'm pretty sure.
Do we have that? Because we should if we don't. Because that's why Sorendir didn't update his combat proficiency.
I'm starting to think Long's the only one that doesn't cheat. He's the only one. The rest of you. I think Ashley cheats accidentally.
Mine was because I'm
Yours
dumb.
is accidental.
I was high
The D20 and the D12 look so similar.
That was still the funnest. That was the funnest discovery.
I'm still mortified about it.
Don't be. I thought it was hilarious.
I am.
That was so funny. Oh my goodness. Anyhow, let's dive in. So we've got training, which is skill points. We've got growth, which is adventuring points. Remember, there are some limitations. You can only acquire a maximum of 1 rank in each combat proficiency. Per phase, you can only get a max of 1 rank in each skill per phase, and you can buy either a rank in wisdom or valor, but not in both. Remember that buying wisdom will let you get into the virtue, and buying valor will let you get another upgrade, basically, to gear. And what we do is whenever you take something, whether it's a skill point or you're investing your adventure points or your skill points, whatever it might be, we'd like to navigate like narrate a small little scene that kind of reinforces it. So it could be like flashing back to something that happened in the previous adventuring phase and like, what did you learn from it? Or it could be doing something now in the present where we're seeing a training montage or you interacting with somebody, whatever it might be. So I'm stalling to give them all time to get their stuff up and ready to go. But that's what we're doing. So who would like to narrate first? Training or growth? All right, Floy, let's do it.
So I'll spend 12 points to increase my valor ranking to 3 from 2. And this is from like bravery, dangerous deeds that we've completed. So we've just pretty much risked our lives and took out Lottie, kind of the couple unnamed creatures we just encountered. And that would have made my axe just like feel a bit heavier, getting grievous before I turned it in.
Okay. All right. And how many, so how many qualities would have been on it then?
Just the one right there.
Just the one. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So you maybe we had some time along the way where you were maybe like as you were trekking back down something at night, maybe you're kind of sharpening it up. Maybe you found a particularly good stone out in the wild that you might use to help the blade, and sort of maybe it was amongst the things that you had looted inside of that tomb that you and Iriniel found, and that was allowing you to kind of continue to sharpen away, make the blade sharper and sharper, thinner and thinner. So when you hand it over, it has that extra quality. We'll come back to the quality stuff in a minute and why that's important. Other folks, what are we doing?
So Iriniel wants to find someone who seems to be clever. So well-read, clever. I'm aiming in riddle. So as I'm looking for someone that,
Sure.
while she's convalescing, she's not so much focusing on kind of physical stuff, but more kind of the verbal, mental stuff.
So in Gladrock, I do think we have a lore master. Is that correct, Floy? You've engaged with the lore. Do you remember his name? I know Eloy was your cousin or brother or something like that.
Yeah,
but
we named him Jetty.
Jetty. Okay, I knew it was something like that. All right, so we got Jetty. So we'll say, yeah, maybe we're at Gladrock. We're visiting in with Floy's family. You take some time to sit down, have a conversation with Jetty, and yeah, he looks up at you with his kind of graying white beard or so. He's an older man, I would imagine, studied, versed, and he's like, "What can I do for you?"
Yes,
Ranger?
Good to see you again. Glad to see that you are well.
We've met before.
I
think I would have remembered you.
Had a fully functioning left arm last time. Perhaps that might be I didn't realize you had a lot of rangers that came through here, but never mind. Never you mind. That is all right. I am looking
No offense. Sorry, I meet a lot of people.
You do that. That's why I came to you.
And then I read about a lot of people. See, the books, the tomes, all sorts of things, tracking the history of the Blue Mountains. And I can tell you stories and stories.
Stories and words. That's exactly your thing. That's why I'm here. I'm looking to.
Some of my favorite stories involve human rangers, and very interesting.
That is excellent. I'm looking to kind of sharpen the.
Not all of our stories involve just dwarves, you know.
Good. That's great. That's great. See,
some of them even have elves in them.
I'm looking for ones that are a little less of a story and more of a.
None of them have those. What are they called?
Riddle.
Hobbits. Like that Gilly Kettlegrass. Never met a hobbit before.
Well, she, in fact, is writing a story of all of us, and so then maybe you will read a story of a hobbit.
Oh, she's quite entertaining. I like that one.
Someday. So, see, this is where I
particularly like a sweetgrass. Very lovely, very wonderful sweetgrass.
Sir, I'm hoping to gain your assistance.
Makes the bones aches go away.
That I do. I am in need of some of that relief, and they say.
Well, I'm not much of a healer there, Ranger Lady. I'm not sure how I can help with that.
Well, they say that laughter is the best medicine, or so I've heard. I think actual medicine is the best medicine, but sometimes laughter is a good.
I would imagine
medicine.
you would know a thing or two more about that about medicine than I. Don't you all go rolling around in the bushes and collecting all the flowers and rubbing them on your face and such?
Not face usually so much, but yes, times like this when words are needed, sometimes you have to be a bit more clever than I am, and so I'm looking for. See, I'll tell you a riddle, and you can tell me if it's good, and if it's not, then maybe you can tell me a way to tell a better riddle. Are you?
Well, get on with it. I don't have all day.
Well, oh yeah. Well, I see that. I see that. And she'll. The more you take.
Are you sick?
The more you
get some of those herbs you've got
behind.
there and just go rubbing them on your face, maybe, or in your throat. Clean up that cough.
What are they? Do I need to repeat it, or did you catch?
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. What was that?
So, the more you take, the more you leave behind. What are they?
The more you take, the more you leave behind.
Yes.
Huh. Well, that's a curious question.
It's
the more you take,
yes.
the more you leave behind.
Yes.
Huh.
Yes.
It's just one of them rangery herb questions. Like king's foil or some such. The more king foil you take, the more you leave behind?
No.
You rangers are a very curious lot.
Well, I'm working on riddles and things.
Well, this is a very good one. I do not know it.
Would you like me to tell you the answer?
Wasn't that the point of it?
Yes. It's footsteps.
Footsteps.
Yes.
Footsteps.
Yes.
He sits there for like 10 minutes just doing,
And Iridial just takes in the quiet and just lets him think.
I see, yes. Because if you take footsteps, you'll leave them behind. Oh, that's delightful. Oh, goodness me, goodness my. Oh, tell me another.
Oh, well, since you mentioned the botanicals earlier, what is a fruit you can never cheer up?
What is a fruit you can never cheer up? Oh,
Yes.
well, we don't eat many fruits. We eat some berries and some other kinds of berries and occasionally an apple or two. Oh, are there other ones? Are there other fruits?
You have left out a few.
Well, I mean, there's so many different kinds of berries. There's strawberries and there's blueberries and there's
There you
boysenberries
go.
and
There you go. You came
I got
across
it
the
right?
answer and you didn't. Yes.
it's a strawberry.
No, it's a blueberry. It is a fruit you can never cheer up.
Well, I would think you can't cheer any of them up. They're just fruit.
Well, see, this is what I have to learn. Some folks tell riddles and there's more story to them.
Oh.
Mine are a little,
Oh, I see. Because blue means sad. Oh, that is delightful. Oh, my. Oh, that is delightful. That is very. Tell me another.
I don't, those are, see that this is why I'm here. Those are what I have. I've heard from the way you make a riddle is you take an idea that might have two meanings to it. But what I'm hoping to practice is they're just more flourish to them, more style. Sometimes we have to go and we speak with people and they are impressed by more words. I tend to use the words I need to make the point, not the
I understand.
extra words.
I think I know how to help you.
Yes.
You want to know double meaning of things. Yes, you want to know more things. Do you
Yes.
read? Because I have books for you. And he starts shuffling off and he's just like getting these giant dwarvish dusty tomes. Oh, here's one. Thump. Here's a second. Thump. Here's a third. Thump. Here's a fourth. Thump. Okay, come back later this afternoon after you've read them and we'll talk more about what they mean and see if there's maybe some double meanings in there. Expanding vocabulary.
And she's in one arm, just holding all of these. I'm going to go find the shadiest tree outside and read these.
Oh, there's no trees for a little while now. You have to go a bit down the slope there. It might take all day just to get down there.
Well, that is where I do when I read. I don't read often, but when I do, that is the way to do it.
Well, there's your problem. You don't read often. That's the problem right there. You saw how quickly I was able to get that blueberry idea. That riddle came to me so fast. It's because I read.
You're right. Maybe I should just grab some ale and find a table and do that. And I will see you at dinner.
Now that is the smartest thing you've said all day. Grab some ale and a table. Get to reading.
I will see you later. Thank you. Thank you, Jetty.
Teddy? My name's Jetty.
Jetty. That is what I said.
Oh, I thought you said Teddy.
Oh, no. No.
Oh, these old ears can't hear anything.
Thank you, sir.
That went on longer than I intended. It was just, I was cracking myself up. I'm sorry. I was
cracking me up too.
Sometimes I feel like a jerk, but it was just too funny. All right, who's next?
I'll go, unless you want to, Ash.
All right.
Go ahead.
No. Okay. So for adventuring points, I'm not going to update anything, and for skill points, I'm not going to update anything. So I'm not going to update anything, but I would like to go buy a pony.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sure. Let's see. Are you at Crackstone or are you at Gladrock?
I would be staying at Cragstone, I think. I haven't really reformed with the group, and I only talked with them about going south. I haven't asked them if I could keep going. I would have stayed in Cragstone for the bit.
Okay, so you would know that there is there's a stable master, I guess we'll call him, by the name of Rudd. And he, very, very, very blonde dwarf, very friendly to animals, very awkward around people, loves ponies, has been known to kind of go off into the upper reaches and find upper reaches of the mountains to kind of find mountain ponies and bring them back, train them, that kind of thing. So we'll say when you wander over to the stables, you see him in long and sort of intense conversation, staring directly into the eyes of a pony. And he was saying,
"Now listen here, I know that you didn't mean anything by it. I know that you know, it was probably just an act of nature. But every time you bite one of my patrons in the face when they try to purchase you, all you are doing is harming your good pal Rudd. Is that what you want to do? Do you want to harm your pal Rudd?"
and the pony just kind of licks him in the face.
"I did not think so. Okay? So listen, promise me, with the next customer that we get, do not bite them in the face until after I have taken their coin. Yes?"
And you get another lick in the face. And he looks around and he's like,
hello, welcome, sir. Can I help you?"
Yeah, I'm here to buy a pony.
"Oh, a pony now.
he kind of looks back.
You're looking to buy a pony. Well, I have a beautiful specimen right here. Now, one of my best friends here is so very kind. He will never, ever do anything to harm you, will never kick you off of his back, will never run away from you, will never bite you in the face that much. He will be very, very delightful to you. He will be like constant companion. It is very hard for me to let him go, but you have the look of someone who will take great and good care of him."
Steven is already sold on this pony. Daggett, however, would want to do some due diligence. Yeah. So he would go up to the pony and start inspecting it, like trying to pull up a hoof to look at it, that kind of thing. I want to look at its teeth.
As you're kind of messing around with like the back hooves and everything, kind of looking at it, which you don't, maybe you kind of see, maybe you don't see, you hear about like,
"No, none of that. Shh, put those away.
And like, we see the camera and like
what was that?
Nothing. I was just saying, this is going to be a match made in a place of wonder. You're going to lead each other to great valor and treasure and, stop it, put those away."
And like every now and then, like the lips just kind of peel back, revealing the teeth.
No. Now, as you can see, I have put fresh shoes on top of it. Yes. It is they are in wonderful care. Made from our Crackstone smiths. I put them on this morning. They will last for quite some time.
They look a little worn to me, knowing they're not. He looks a little underfed too.
Underfed?
I don't think I could.
Underfed? How dare you, sir? I feed my friends the finest meal I can find them. Now listen. Do you hear that? No grumbling in the stomach at all. This one could eat mud and never be upset. That is
You've been feeding your ponies mud?
It was a metaphor, a comparison, a suggestion. I'm just trying to say This one will eat anything, but I make sure he eats the best.
Daggett doesn't know anything about ponies, so he's just hemming and hawing for show, just pointing out like everything. Those ears look incredibly long for a pony. Aren't they supposed to have shorter ears? Shouldn't they stand up more?
That is a common misconception. The longer the ears on a pony, the more capable they are of hearing your commands, and thus more capable of following those. You could call out a command from 100 yards away, and your wonderful pony here will respond just as you would a friend who could hear you.
Okay. Show me a command. Tell it to sit.
It is not a dog. It does not take those types of commands. It's more like heel, and it is very uncomfortable for it to sit at times. But if you would like it to lay down, we could do that. Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. Give me a demonstration.
Yes. Okay. He kind of whispers, "Okay, it's going to be fine. It's going to just go ahead and lay down. You're doing perfect. Great job. Wonderful job."
And then you see the pony kind of start to bare its teeth a little bit as it lays down and kind of looks up at you. But it does lay down on its side.
All right. Stand.
Yes. See, it will not follow your commands until after money has exchanged. Yes. Up. Yes, good up.
And it just sort of climbers back up.
You see, look at it. That was perfect. We had nothing to complain about.
I don't think I could pay more than 5 coins for this.
Well, it depends on what kind of coins they are.
Copper, of course.
I beg your pardon?
It only listens to you. It doesn't know how to sit. You haven't trained it. You've been feeding it mud. It's underfed. Its ears are too long. Look at that tail. It'll trip on that tail.
It is not an it. It is a he. What is wrong with you? It is a living thing. Do not call it it. It is he.
He will trip on that tail. It's far too long.
No. That is also common misconception. It's extra storage. You can wrap things around it and it will hang from behind. Very sturdy tail. You can take a long sleeping bag, roll it up. You could take a staff or a sword or whatever it might be, wrap it up. It is extra storage.
Okay, let's try this. And I'll try to wrap my mattock in the tail.
Okay. All right. Let's do a roll. Roll. This is going to be funny because I'm going to kick you in the face if it goes bad.
I was waiting for that.
I don't know what to do here. Let's see. What could this be?
Hearten? Persuade? Battle?
Okay. I'll take persuade.
Okay. Magical success. No, not really. Okay, that is. Dang, my dice are not doing that well tonight. That's a failure.
Okay. It kicks you and you go flying about 10 feet, smashing into a wall.
Gosh, I told you not. Oh, goodness. Oh, me. Oh, my. Oh, my goodness. He must very much like you. Wow. He really, really likes you. That is a sign of affection. Here, let me help you up.
Kind of reaches his hand down.
I swing my arm away, brushing off his hand, scramble up, looking furious. After a couple moments, I just start giggling to myself. That donkey has the most spirit of any animal I've ever seen. Name your price.
Oh, yes. I will take 3 times as much as you are comfortable paying.
I will pay 1 time what I'm comfortable paying.
Deal.
I'm bad at math. How much is that?
It's not how money works in this game.
Deal.
And he kind of reads it out. And then as you're walking back to the group, it's not, the money exchange hands, you grab the reins, you start kind of moving back, immediately bites you in the face. Just like that. We'll fade from that scene.
And
Have a
everyone in
name for
chat
us, too,
wants
by the
to know the name. Exactly.
You can think on it if you want, but
All
if you
right.
have one, go for it. But
I'm
you can
ready.
think on it.
I'm ready. I am
Okay.
breaking name conventions. I'm not going with the organic, like the root vegetables or anything like that.
Mhm.
I'm gonna name it Boot.
Okay. So we have.
We have beet and root and boot.
God, I hate you
Yeah.
people so much. Oh my god.
Stick with
Okay.
a convention of 4 letters.
Roots.
Right. A breaking
root, and beet.
convention.
Okay. Who is next in terms of skill or any sort of upgrades? So growth or training.
I think it's me. So I am spending 12 points to get my 3rd Pippin in Hearten. And I think it's to instill positive feelings in others. So Gilly is back at Gladstone. And so they kind of know
Glad
her.
Rock.
Or
It's Glad Rock and
excuse me. I keep
and Craigstone.
mashing them
Yeah,
together.
I know,
don't
it's
why.
easy.
But so she's back at Glad Rock and she gets some of the children and we're planning a play that we're gonna put on. So Gilly's organizing this, so she's spending the time with them, and together we're all crafting like the costumes. But like Gilly wrote the script, and it's based off of some sort of like uplifting dwarven tale that she's read, and the kids and Gilly get to act it out. You know, probably at like the end of this, but like montage scene where like Gilly and the kids are out kind of like in the grass and she's being very bossy and leading them like no. Then there's this one kid who's
Miss
misbehaving.
Kettlegrass, I need to go to the bathroom. Miss Kettlegrass, I went to the bathroom
No.
just now.
All right, well, go find your mom.
I'm not done yet. Okay, I am done now.
And Gilly hasn't interacted with children like too much before this.
Mhm.
So like this whole why didn't you go? We were just back in 5 minutes ago. We just walked out here.
I didn't have to go then.
Okay. And so she gets another kid who's a little bit older. Can you take them back, please? And
Why do I have to do it?
because you're so responsible.
I don't want to be responsible.
But that's why not?
I don't want to take care. He just peed on himself.
You don't have to touch him.
What do you want me to do?
Do you want to watch the kids out here? And I'll take him back?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. And so cue Gilly having to watch this kid who peed himself.
And you hear from behind as you're like, all right, I'm in charge now, you little punks. You're gonna do everything I say. Okay.
And
Gilly says I'm in charge.
Hey!
Yes, Miss Kettlegrass.
If you're mean to any of these kids and they tell me when I come back, I'm talking to your mom.
Yes, Miss Kettlegrass. You
I'm
hear
watching you.
as you turn away. I hate Miss Kettlegrass. I hate hobbits. They're so mean.
That kid's gonna be a tree in my play now.
He's so tall. So tall for the dwarf. All right, so you go and you take care of this poor little kid who had an accident. The play goes on. We'll say.
And Gilly was originally planning on like perfecting it and having it be really great. After like 2 weeks, she's done. And she's at her cap of dealing with kids. And she's like, all right, so we're going to perform this tonight after dinner. Y'all are doing so great. I love it. I'm so proud.
I don't know why I have to wear a tree costume.
'Cause you're the tallest.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I feel like I should have gotten more lines. Why doesn't the tree get more lines? I've heard stories that there are trees that can talk. Why can't the tree talk?
I've never met a tree that can talk.
I
Have you?
just said I heard stories, though.
But
And we're
have
telling
you-
a story, so why can't we put this in our story?
Well, it seems kind of like you're going, you know, I'll see if I can come up with some lines. We'll improv them tonight.
Okay. Thanks, Miss Kettlegrass. I hate hobbits. He wanders away. Okay.
At night at dinner, Gilly's like talking to Raviniel. I don't know if I want a child. I thought I did.
I didn't want to get involved. This seemed like it was important to you, but it seems like you have had so much
Bonnet,
patience.
Can you help?
Sure,
My patience broken.
I can do my
And she
best.
turns
to-
to Daggett. Are all dwarven children like this?
Oh no, he's very well behaved.
Oh. I won't get married either.
We see Gilly's love meter for dwarves suddenly dropping for the first time ever. Wow.
I can't wait to hear what lines that kid improvs.
No.
Why don't you make like me and get the flock out of here? All right. So, does anybody else have any more training or growth scenes that they have? Any other things they're taking points in?
I'm actually going to piggyback off of this. So,
Oh God, thanks.
Drink more water,
So-
Jeff. Keep that voice going.
the other skill that I wanted to improve. So Riddle went from 0 pip to 1 pip, but Awe I'm trying to get from 1 to 2. And so as I've been kind of watching Gilly and kind of how she wrote this and kind of how because she involved kids. So imagining she's kind of weaving in, because when Auriniel has tried to use Awe before, it's kind of been very just kind of straight on. Like, here's the thing we did. It was cool. You should think we're cool. And she kind of goes very literal. But I'm imagining that kind of as Gilly was writing this play, it was kind of like a little bit more of sort of like the metaphor and kind of the external story and, you know, kind of all of those things. So like Auriniel's kind of been taking notes about kind of like how Gilly kind of goes about kind of crafting the story and putting it together.
Okay. So you're like
I was wondering how I was going to do that.
And she also stands intimidatingly behind Gilly
Me too.
as Gilly's giving directions. So the kids have been the most well behaved they've been this entire time.
that tree kid though is still like, I hate humans. And I hate hobbits. So the play goes off without a hitch. It is as bad as you would expect a child play to be, because they're all terrible. And but everyone claps. There's a bunch of very drunken dwarven parents that have attended begrudgingly. There is a significant amount of crowd interaction, although it was not properly planned for. As Daggett's theory of them being well behaved. You kind of see maybe where they get it from, as every couple of lines, one of the parents will come out. That's not what someone would say. A god wouldn't say something like that. You don't find that sort of wolf in that kind of biome. It'd be a completely different kind of wolf.
And Gilly's turning around. I researched this in a book that I read that I got from Jetty, and it does in fact reference on page 142 that type of wolf does live in that type of forest. Good job, kids. You're doing so great. She turns right back around.
And Jetty gets up. So what kind of fruit can you never cheer up?
A blueberry?
What? Well, yes, Miss Killigrass, that's correct. Carry on. And kind of sits back down.
But it doesn't help because I imagine as like the parents are coming in, Gilly's having Erennial hand them out ale, so this is more palatable as they watch, and she just made it worse.
Yeah, like Act 3 comes around and half the crowd is already like on the ground, fully drunk. That's the only way they could get through this child play from the door of Gladrock. And by the end, there's maybe 4 or 5 that are still, and they're like, yay! Yay! Attaboy, you were a great tree. I don't like trees anymore. And we'll close on that scene. Okay. Did anybody have any more skill upgrades or adventuring points that they spent?
I'm good.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, beautiful. That was fun.
That was fun.
Let's go to spiritual recovery. That's the next step. So you automatically recover a number of hope points equal to your heart score. So how many is everyone getting back there?
3, which will cap.
Oh, shit. I only get 2
I
back.
get 4.
Okay.
I spend too much hope, y'all.
How much did you get back, Floy?
Got 3 back.
Okay. Melissa, how much did you get as a renewal?
2.
2. Okay. So then, next, if the adventuring phase was a positive outcome in the fight against the encroaching shadow, you get to remove 1 to 3 shadow points as determined by moi, the lore master, who assesses how much your actions essentially interfered with the shadow. This past adventuring phase, you killed a very notable member of, notable enemy, named enemy, Lottie. So I'm going to give you all 3. You can recover 3 shadow points. That was huge.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All my shadow points got turned into a shadow scar.
This was the one time that I was actually smart about not turning it into a scar right before fellowship, because I've done that once or twice before.
Jeff calling us power gamers. I'm here like, man, I messed this all up.
You only had 1 because I had a reset from all the misery happening.
Yeah. I was up to 8 and I just got to drop it to 5.
When I play characters, I never make intelligent choices with them. So like literally reading the rules is a power gamer to me. Okay, so let's do undertakings. Okay, so this is not a Yule Fellowship phase. Let's get some. I want to get some dwarf music. Let's do a little dwarf music. I don't know. This is sort of dwarf music, but whatever. So we're going to do some undertakings. It's not a Yule phase. You get 2 undertakings. One of them has to be from one of the undertakings that your callings gets free access to, which has changed with the addition of Daggett and the subtraction of Sorendir. So just to kind of go through them for everybody else, you can choose from Strength and Fellowship, Ponder, Storade, and Figured Maps, which I think comes from Ashley's Scholar or Gilly Kedogar's Scholar. Study Magical Items is from Floy as a Treasure Hunter. Write a Song is from Erennial as a Champion, and Strength and Fellowship was from Daggett as a Dwarf Captain. So one of your, at least one of yours has to be from those 4. Your other undertaking could be any undertaking as long as it's not Yule required. There's something else that we did touch on in our chats ahead of time, but I'll mention it now. You all did get 3 items, 3 not just items, but famous weapons and armor. You got 3, like they just dropped on you like this, and they just sort of all coalesced. Kobor's Cleaver. You've got that sword that you found in the mine, and then you got this black hafted axe, this strange looking axe that you got when Lottie fell. Now, in order to be able to gain access to this, the way these things work, just like the mithril armor that Floy has, there are a number of qualities that they have, just like you can add with your Valor upgrades different qualities to your weapons to increase them over time. These famous weapons and armor, they have some baked in, and some of them are qualities that you can't actually get as Valor rewards. So in order to gain access to them, you have to actually take the Visiting the Treasury undertaking, which means that you bring, like you essentially kind of hand over one of your items, like Floy was doing. We kind of led with it, but like Floy handing over his axe, and then he can essentially activate mechanically, at least, has many qualities on the new item that you got, the famous item, as were on the item that you hand into your treasury. So that is another one that unfortunately it's in like the fellowship. It's in the lore master section. It's not in the fellowship phase of the book, but that's kind of how that handled. So, do you all know what you want to do?
Yeah, I think we're talking about gathering rumors.
But if we do the treasury, we can't gather rumors unless we spend bits. Because we don't have a warden now.
How much would... I don't think we decided how much.
I'm going to start with 5. So we'll treat it just like getting a favored. If you spend 5 audience rerolls, you can get an undertaking.
How much bits do we have, Mel?
We have 4. We have 3 that are specific to donkey usage in the future.
Okay.
Day donkey complication.
Okay. So, what's the plan then?
Well, definitely the treasury, because we already started with that, and I'm sure Erennial wants the sword as well. So we could...
Oh, we just got bits.
Hey,
Oh,
thank
thank
you,
you,
Tool
Tool.
Twitch.
Oh, Tool, that's very nice of you.
Too much.
Okay. So we're gonna let's do the treasury thing. Okay, so visiting the treasury, it's normally the treasury of your people. So we're gonna just for the sake of ease, like sending Gilly back to Bree, sending Erennial to wherever she considers like her sort of vault for her ranger clan there. We'll say that it's good enough that you are here between Daggett and Floy. Perhaps you can kind of hand weapons over, and we'll make it work. I'm fine with hand waving instead of doing the extra journeys to do this or that. So I'm trying to make sure. It doesn't say that there's like a limitation on how many you can hand in. So we'll just say you can do them all. That's fine. So you all handing stuff in?
Yeah, I'll be
I will take
an
Lottie's axe unless someone wants it.
No, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked ahead of time that Gilly can't wield an axe, and Erennial doesn't really do axes.
Wield 2 hands.
Can't wield 2
I didn't know
hands.
if Floy wanted a backup weapon. I would have let him have it.
If it comes to the need to having it, I'll just take it out of your hands. Yeah.
He'll kill you first.
dang.
Take it.
God dang, Floy. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so Erennial has a keen short sword.
Okay. You're handing in you're gonna hand over the sword. Okay. I actually think this is probably going to be Jetty again, who will be engaging with over at Gladrock, probably on behalf of Floy, as Floy and Daggett, dwarves. You'll kind of bring the group over to Jetty and maybe some of the others that kind of work in the vault and the tomes and the history. Erennial, when you kind of present this and you ask questions about the sword, you see, yes, what a wonderful piece this is. I can tell for certain. Yes, for certain, this is not of dwarven make. In fact, I think this is your people, Ranger Lady. I'm Erennial. Yes, I remember. Blueberry Lady, of course. Yes. Well, that's very interesting. Oh, you see him kind of like hold it up, kind of turn it around, kind of put his ear against it at one point and everything. Oh, now that you mention it, let me see. And he shuffles over and he kind of climbs up. Oh, these old bones. He's climbing up this this ladder that goes up to a second tier where all of his books are. And you see him, and it's really, really treacherous. He's getting these big, heavy tomes down, and he's an old man, and he's on a ladder. He's like, oh dear, and then he manages to grab himself.
If it would be okay, my arm is feeling much better now that I've.
No.
This
is my vocation. Is my things. Let me see. Well then, yes. You see this marking right here. Yes.
And he kind of points to that star, right? The kind of the idea of, yeah.
Yes.
Do you know what this represents?
I have come to understand it has to do with the old lands, the old kingdoms, as it were.
So he hops his walking stick up a little bit further in his hand, and then he conks you right on the head.
You know, there's more lands and kingdoms than just human. You could be more specific, of course. You'll need to read more. We've been through this. Arenio, you need to read. It's not all about adventure and trees and blueberries. It's about reading and learning language and vocabulary and all such. I, as a dwarf, should not know more about your people than you. But yet here we are.
This is true. I have a new riddle for you. When we're done. I hope you'll be impressed. But for now, tell me.
No. I think riddle first, and then we'll get to this. I'm very much an advocate of dessert before dinner.
Well then, I read this one somewhere, so this isn't mine, but you know, so I'm, of course, stealing official riddle. Voiceless it cries, wingless flutters, toothless bites, mouthless mutters. What am I?
Am I supposed to answer something there? Can
yes.
you read it one more time? These old man ears were too busy reading about your sword.
Voiceless it cries, wingless flutters, toothless bites, mouthless mutters.
Oh dear.
What am I?
What could that be? And it's a fruit, you say?
No, not a fruit this time.
No? Not a fruit?
No, not a fruit.
Oh dear. Well, toothless mutters and sound doesn't have teeth. An old man doesn't have teeth. So is it an old man who has fallen in love, his heart aflutter? Is that it?
That is quite the interesting answer, but no, it is the wind.
Oh. Well, I suppose if you say so. The wind. Well, let's just get back to this research. The wind, you say? Yeah. The wind? Really? You got this from someone else. Someone told you this.
I did. It was not.
And they thought it clever.
I suppose there are different types.
So he kind of dismisses this and kind of moves on. And he's like, so he kind of goes through some old tomes, and you can see like this sort of markings, these stories from what looks like folks in the Blue Mountains and folks from further east over by the Misty Mountains, and like you can see this long kind of history, kind of dealings with the human kingdoms. Basically, it's like all these various interactions, just this huge timeline and stuff for the kind of tracking various dwarf human interactions over the time. And he's like, well, you'll see, this here, and he points to that. I believe this, if I recall, is one of your kingdoms. Here it is. Yes. Arthadane.
Yes, Arthadane.
Yes. Well, you'll see, your king of an old city. Well, it was not he who carried this, but apparently it was one of his guards here. They all were carrying these types of weapons, and when they were fleeing, when their capital fell, they were fleeing a very dangerous creature or army of creatures, I should say, and if not for this weapon, this guards, they would not have been able to flee, in fact. Now, at least that is what a ranger, in fact, conveyed to my predecessor. Centuries, more than 200 years ago, in fact. It's a very peculiar name. Perhaps you know it. It's something about spirits, I believe. Sold of spirits. Manazagar.
Like he's kind of trying to feel it out. And so he will hand it over to you. I will go ahead and make this available in Foundry. And how many qualities do you have on your weapon that you're handing in?
It's just keen.
Okay, so you will only get the one. So you will not get. So I made it available so you can see the whole thing, but it does have foe slaying in Superior Grievous, but you will not get Superior Grievous.
Okay.
So the only thing that it's going to add right now is foe slaying. So when you score a piercing blow on an undead creature, the protection roll of the target is ill-favored. If the roll was already ill-favored for any reason, then the piercing blow scores an automatic wound instead. And apparently it was carried by a King's Guard of one of your people, and was used, and it might have been one among many, and it was sort of references something spirit sword of spirits, and there's like a Menozegar is sort of like the pronunciation he settles on. Not Dwarven. Very. Ugh. Does not roll off the tongue with any amount of ease, does it?
Well, no, but thank you. Thank you very much. This is wonderful information.
Well, the winds, seriously. I'm not sure I understand this one, but no. Oh, yes, you're very welcome. You're very welcome.
But you might like this one. You might like this one, and I'll leave you on this note. How do you catch a school of fish?
Well, you probably get a net. It's fine mesh of some kind. You'll stand along the shore if you can, or if you have to go out into the water, you're probably very still. Let them get very comfortable, then you sweep around, and eventually you group all of them up. What a peculiar question. That's a very simple task. I'm not much of a fisherman, but even I can do that.
No. You see, it's a bookworm. How do you catch a school of fish with a bookworm?
I've never heard of it.
Right up your story.
A bookworm?
Yes.
I have hundreds of books here. I've never seen a worm show up in any of them.
It's a name for a person who enjoys books. Is a bookworm. It's a school.
Why would anyone want to be called a worm?
Well, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Well.
And she'll just sort of say, at least you liked the blueberry riddle.
Oh, yes, it's quite delightful. Blueberry.
Well,
yes. Can't cheer up a blueberry.
You keep using that one.
Maybe you can use blueberries to catch that school of fish. Yes, maybe. You can do a little that as a bait, maybe. Drop a little line in, maybe. I don't know. Maybe fish eat blueberries.
Just maybe. I'll have to give it a try someday.
Oh, yes. Report back, please, and I'll put it in the annals.
Okay.
Who goes next?
All right. Daggett is in Cragstone, and he would like to go to the place that he was raised. A sort of like group home / technical school for dwarves that are orphans, but as they get older, they start learning how to mine and be craftsmen and things like that. Not like the high ranking stuff. These are the dwarves that are like not chosen as apprentices. They're chosen they do manual labor. So he would like to head off that direction and just see where he grew up. And obviously, like, there aren't that many dwarves, so I doubt there'd be more than like 5 to 10, like teenage equivalent dwarves here, but start heading that direction.
Okay. Well, we can say, because, it's a sad reality that sometimes dwarves can potentially die young. Violence from accident. Mining is not always the safest. It doesn't happen extraordinarily often, but it does of late, because of the desperation of certain halls within the Blue Mountains, the concern that they've bled some of the veins dry and everything. But why don't we say that there is maybe a patron who kind of oversees this, like this. Yeah. We're gonna call him Almec. You're gonna see he's got a big red-brown beard, super bushy, hasn't been combed or braided in any particular way. You can see that his hair has started to pull back, like it's very receding, and but it explodes out the back, like it's just this massive curly fur coming out the back of his head. Would he know you think?
Yes. So the way Daggett grew up was he and Snagit were alone for a long time, but then Snagit took an oath to go work in the mines, and Daggett moved into this patron's home or whatever for the last couple years until he became an adult.
Okay, so when he sees you, then
Is that, Daggett, my boy? It is, oh goodness, these old eyes, it is a delight to see you. How are you, my old good man? How are you?
My beard's getting longer.
Indeed. It looks very combed. And is that the smell of perfume I smell on you?
It's not mine.
Oh, have you found yourself a wife?
No, that's not what I meant. It's sweetgrass. It comes from Bree.
Bree? The human down on the Great Eats Road. I've heard of it, yes. It's been there, of course. Sweetgrass.
Yeah, I'm glad to see you well. You're older than I am, and I'm feeling my back isn't what it used to be.
Well, I have those that are relying on me, and
he kind of like does a look, and you can see the various kids and younger folk around.
I have those who are relying on me, so my ills, my sores, I ignore them, push past them, so I can provide these young ones with some opportunity. Teach them to read, teach them to mine, teach them to craft. All of those things that they would have learned in their families if they had them.
That's why I'm here. I have something I'd like to... Do you have any special students, anyone who you see a lot of potential in?
Potential? Well, yeah. Well, that one over there.
And he points to kind of a scrawny looking kid with a very ugly face. His face is all kind of crooked, still kind of, you can tell he's still kind of going through some growing pains.
That one there is Nuke. He's very, not the strongest, but I would say very quick, very fast. Something of an acrobat, you might say. And he is agile, and he's a bit of a quiet leader amongst the boys and the girls. And he, not the brightest, I must say, but has a good heart. Good heart.
Would you mind calling him over? Could we speak to him for a minute?
Oh, well, if we must, I suppose. I guess I can. Nuke, sir. Come here, I want to introduce you to someone.
And you hear, "Yes, sir, I'm coming." What can I do for you, Mr. Omic?
Oh, well, Nuke, this here is a dear old friend of mine. This is Daggett. Daggett, son of Snook. Daggett, this is Nuke.
Pleasure to meet you, sir.
And you as well. Your master here tells me that you've got quite a bit of potential.
Oh, I suppose, I do, things come quickly to me, I suppose. I learn pretty quick.
What do you wish to see your future as?
And he kind of looks towards Omric, and he looks towards you. I want to be a productive member of Dwarven society, sir.
I remember saying the same answer at one point.
No,
I have something for you.
You can tell the truth here. Daggett will not say anything, not judge you.
Kind of looks up and like, well, Mr. Daggett, I want to see the world. I want to see the sky, and I want to see the misty mountains. I want to see
The Lonely Mountain and Erebor, and I want to see it all. I want to adventure.
There's a lot out there worth seeing.
Yes, I want to see it all, I do.
You're going to face a lot of dangers if you do that.
Oh, yes, that's true, but I'm fast and I'm quick and I'm good in a scrap. Oh, I can handle myself.
Are you strong? Can you swing
I'm
an
strong.
axe? Lift a
Oh,
hammer?
Oh, sure, I can. Yes, of course.
I have something for you.
For me. Oh,
I'm going to hand him my mattock.
oh,
This is a very fine weapon that will
It
serve
is?
you well.
oh,
It's called Snagget's Oath.
snag its oath. Well, you'll snag it. Do I got to take an oath?
No, you don't need to take an oath. It's yours.
I don't got to do nothing for it.
No. You just
Gotta,
gotta...
like, feed your pony or fetch your
No,
meal.
you would lose an eye if you did that. No, you just use it and see the world when you can.
No, Mr. Digger, this is very kind. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. I'll cherish it. I'll take good care of it. I'll make so people know it came from you, Mr. Digger.
No, you don't need to worry about that. You make your own name.
Make my own name. Oh, I think I will. I think I
you
will.
will too.
Can I go show it to my mates?
It's yours. Do what you wish.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And he's like kind of like half bowing, shaking a hand, and kind of being very awkward. Hey, thank you. And he kind of goes, kind of scurrying off. That's very kind of you, then. Take it. Do not take you for a charitable type.
It was weighing me down.
I see. I'll see. Does this mean you're moving on from violence, I suppose? No need for a weapon?
I rub my crooked nose. I would prefer not to be punched one more time, but I don't think I could get away from that.
Looks like you've been... Is that a bite mark on your cheek? Are you sure you didn't find yourself a wife?
Sorry, I got Steven so bad there.
Oh, God. No, I am not married to boot. Don't throw that out there, chat. I don't want to see it. I will awkwardly exit this conversation
Okay.
and go check out my new axe.
Well, what I would say is, Amik is a pretty knowledgeable guy. He is, I would say, not a lore master in the same way that Jetty is. He's probably somebody who knows a lot, though. And as we said, he's kind of teaching these kids all sorts of things, teaching them, how to mine, how to craft, how to fight, how to read, everything he possibly can. And so he probably knows quite a bit. So he'd probably be the one that you talk to a bit about this. And we'll say when you produce the axe, which we should say it's a long hafted axe, and it actually kind of takes on the look almost of like an old school kind of elven polearm in some ways. And when you show it to him, right? When you show it to him, he's, where did you get that? Where did you get that?
Up north, great hillfolk warrior wielded it.
Hillfolk. I've I've heard something of this. Old clans come back for vengeance of some sort. Interesting. Might I take a look? Very interesting.
And he kind of holds it down in his hand.
Almost elvish of make. But look here. Look.
He kind of shows like along the blade. There are these dwarven runes, kind of like a sort of like a maker's mark of some kind.
No, this was dwarven craftsmanship, I think. Maybe, or at least someone trained a bit in our ways. Perhaps even someone trained.
I knew it was too fine to be elven.
Well, I'm not one to compliment them too often, but they know their craft, Daggett. They do indeed. The color here is alarming to me. It reminds me of a story I heard many years ago. There's a legend, you see, of a weapon. Some have names for it, some do not. I've heard it called the Black Fang, as you can see.
He kind of shows like the blade itself, which kind of has like, it's more of an elongated blade as opposed to like a broad axe or anything like that.
Some say it was made with the bones and ash of dragons, if you can believe it. That's how old this is. That's what gives it its color. That's not all. Every time it's cropped up in history, it's been marred by madness, betrayal. You take care with this. Be mindful of what thoughts enter into your brain there. It's no real certainty of the maker, but what I can tell you is that they've taken all of the finest lessons and skill a dwarven smith might be able to funnel into such a weapon, and all of the deftness that you get from an elvish make. And they've twisted it somehow into this dark thing. Careful, Daggett. Powerful weapon, this is. But a corrupting one at that. Where it has been all these years, I do not know. But your human friend, I've heard you traveling with. Your human friend might know. It is the people's fall. Was the last time I think this might have appeared in history, in fact. When the shadow from the icy realm to the north came flooding in and wiping their kind from the green pastures and the rolling hills that sit off east of where we live.
Thank you.
Indeed.
Wise as ever.
Mind yourself.
So I've made it available. How many qualities did you have?
2, Fell and Grievous.
You will get both of the qualities that are on this. So it has hammering. A creature hit by this weapon in suffering an endurance loss equal to or superior to twice its attribute level, the creature's attribute level, is additionally knocked back and must spend its next main action to stand up. And it's also a rune-scored weapon, as I indicated. When you make an attack roll using a weapon possessing this quality, you can ignore the effects of being miserable or weary.
Ooh, I'm always those.
I know. So are your characters too.
Both of those are super cool.
Awesome. Who should I give this to, guys?
Oh, dear.
Then finally, I think we have one more weapon, right? We've already done the trade, so you've already given your axe over. So we'll cut then back to where Ariniol was talking with Jetty and Floy. Maybe you talk with Jetty as well. And they, we've heard the stories already of Kobor's Cleaver, but if you recall, he would tell of this warrior, this dwarven warrior by the name of Kobor, son of Caim, who he fought and he died in the battle of Azanulbazar, which is during the war of the dwarves and the orcs. On his way there, as he was kind of leading a band of dwarves, he was kind of assaulted in the Blue Mountains, and they were kind of attacked or fell upon by wraiths and by whites, and he slayed them. And so we heard about this story already, so it's something that was kind of led you to sort of hunt it down. But we haven't really talked about its stats. And the thing is it's a double-sided axe. Blades are more like these cleavers. They look like more like cleaver blades than axe blades, like something that you would get out of a kitchen. It's got a very crude look to it, but it's hefty, it's heavy, and it looks very powerful. And you can see that there are all these old stains and discoloration from, you would imagine, great use. This is not a weapon that has only been made to be displayed. This is a weapon that has been used. You had how many qualities on your weapon when you handed it in?
It was 1.
Okay. All right. High or low?
Low.
Okay. All right. Yours is going to have cleaving, so you're going to get the cleaving quality, but not the superior grievous. Not the superior grievous. So for cleaving, when you kill a foe with this weapon, you can immediately attack a secondary adversary engaged with you.
Nice.
So
very cool.
Both this weapon and Ariniol's weapon they have Bane of the Undead on them, but you have to get all the qualities to get them. So right now for Floyd, that one's not being triggered. Essentially what that would let you do is it would let you get damage to your roll against a Bane creature that's equal to a flat 2 or your Valor score if your Valor score is higher. And Ariniol, yours might be slightly different. The flat value might be different. I can't remember off the top of my head, but you can see it. But that's not until you unlock them. And so what we'll say is that when the next fellowship phase comes around, if you want to unlock them, you take a Valor upgrade and you unlock them. That's kind of what you do. Just
Nice.
like you would add. Okay.
So I
All
don't have
good?
that Bane effect, you were saying?
You don't have the Bane effect. You only have the cleaving effect right now.
Okay.
Are
Yeah.
we able to unlock that later?
Yeah, that's what I said. Like,
Yeah.
Next fellowship phase, if he invests his adventuring points in upgrading his Valor, he can unlock the other quality. Okay. All right. So those are weapons. Yeah, it's weird. It just sort of all kind of like you were looking for the cleaver.
3 at once.
Yeah, well, it was weird because the sword was always going to be there. Okay.
Mhm.
But then, like, what I've been doing throughout is whenever you guys go looking at treasure of old Arthadane or Arnor or whatever, I basically always roll to see, on the back end, if the Hillfolk are there, if the Hillfolk have already left, or if the Hillfolk haven't arrived. And yours is I happen to roll that they are there, and then it's another thing if Lottie's there, and so her weapon, and then Kobor's Cleaver, Floy was looking for it specifically, so all worked out. Okay, so let's get back to our fellowship phase rules as we are nearing the end. We did that one. So that was your first undertaking, right? We took care of that.
Yes.
What's your second one?
I think gather rumors, since we got the
we
bits
were going to spend 5.
to spend for that.
Okay, so we've done So we've done the one for the Treasury. That's one of your undertakings. That's the one that you do normally. Then you want to do gather rumors with audience. The audience extra undertaking.
For gather rumors.
Okay. Sure. So with gather rumors, you can ask about something specific, or I can just give you something general. It's just sort of up to you. If there's something specific you're into, or you're thinking about, just say so. Otherwise, I have a couple ideas, but it's up to you.
I'd like to know if there are any dwarven riddle masters in the area.
Wind blueberries. Windy blueberries. Blue
Bookworms.
windberries? Blue windberries.
Ultimately, I think our objectives are learning more about Angmar and then learning about allies who could help us with Angmar, right?
Yeah, those are kind of the general thoughts that we have.
Okay. Sure. So we'll say in the time in which you've spent, which again, it's about a month or so, I would say, have you spent here over the time, recuperating, practicing, studying. We'll say in that time, let's see. Okay, yeah, we'll say it. Balin arrives, actually, with a group of dwarves. He's been traveling here and there. We'll say he hears that you are at Gladrock, and he kind of sends for you, or he comes and seeks you out. He's like, what voice did I use for Balin? I'm trying to remember.
Well, hello, my friend.
No, that's not. He wasn't so rough. What was I doing? What did I do? Does anyone remember?
It's been so long since we've seen him.
He was decently soft-spoken.
He was soft-spoken, I'll say. No, that's not right.
It's kind of similar to that, I think, a little bit.
Kettlegrass, Eriniu, Daggett, it is a pleasure to meet you. A pleasure to see you again. Where's your the elvish friend, Soren, dear? I don't see him amongst you.
And we all just sort of look downcast.
Oh.
Except Daggett, he just kind of looks at the rest of you.
I beg your pardon. I did not mean to offend or to touch upon what appears to be some very sad memories. I speak no more of it. I apologize. It's interesting meeting you here. Chance circumstances, I suppose. I recently had the pleasure of meeting friends of yours.
We don't have too many of those. Whom did you come across?
Dwarvish couple.
Thorfinn and Thebe?
Brother and sister. Yes, Thorfinn and Thebe, indeed.
Oh.
Yeah.
And Ireniel sort of perks up a little bit at that. Like, oh, how are they?
They are good times and bad. Their colony down in the Dunland has sort of kind of fallen, unfortunately. The Rotag and his war band took their toll, and well, we've invited them here and there and everywhere, but they've settled, it seems. Thorfinn, Thebe, a few others, in a place called Tharbad. Are you familiar?
It is quite a bit to the south, is it not?
Not so far, but it's a few days' travel, I think, from Bree, along the Greenway, North-South Road. It's not too far from here. It's an older city. Long ago had far more prestige and power than it does now, I think. But yes, I was traveling. I met them along the road, and I was going one way, they were going the other. We shared a meal and a few stories, and lo and behold, they told me a story about traveling up to, of all places, Angmar. And, well, you can count on one hand, and only maybe, 2-3 fingers, how many dwarves, especially living, who have been up to Angmar, and I have now met all 3. Floy, your name came up. Yours as well, Gilly, Renio. Yes, they've taken on a job for some humans down there in Tharbad to repair the bridge. There's a very old, very decrepit bridge there, and they've been hired on. They were none too optimistic about it. They're neither of them stoneworkers, but every dwarf to some degree has knowledge, I would imagine. But they have a few others in their party too. But yes, they were cheery folk, laughter and here and there, but underneath it there was sadness too, the kind that comes when once one faces great evil, great shadow. It's the kind when I... Yes,
you're in the southern areas. Did you run into any rangers?
Rangers? Rangers? No. Can't say I did. I did run to, if you can believe it, I on the way here, just a few days south, I ran into some folks by Harmelt, and they told a story of some elves. Far bit of trouble they seem to have gotten into, but no rangers. The elves, you see, I had a story from some dwarves who are on top of the southern mountains, the peak a few miles away from the Gulf of Loon, and all of a sudden one night, the water just became ablaze, an enormous blaze. 2 ships, elvish ships, were burnt right there on the water. They didn't know the reason why, of course, but if you believe them, they could hear screams from miles away. But they, I'm sure, were embellishing, as one does, to tell a good story.
What you say is true, then the elves might still be under this certain curse.
Curse, yes. They said the elves were coming out of Mithlon, heading west, across the Gulf. Whether they were going to, was it Forlond, I believe, that you all had said you had traveled to before, or somewhere else? I know not.
It's quite sad to hear that there continue to be dark days ahead for the dwarves, for the elves.
Well, there are a fair share of dark and light days. Iridial, I think. I think there's reason to be positive. Friendship, fellowship, new allies here. Balin, son of Fundin here. You are.
Kind of reaches out a hand to Daggett.
Daggett, son of Snook.
Snook? You're son of Snook, are you? Goodness. Yes, I met your father. What are the chances here? How curious. Wonderful horseshoe player he was.
I wouldn't know. I never met him.
Oh, I beg your pardon. He was
no offense.
I'll have you know that he took more than his fair share of coin from me when we were younger lads. He had a fondness for the ponies, you see. And sometimes we would develop this interesting game. We took the horseshoes, you see, that rounded on one side, open on the other, and we would put poles into the ground at either end of a long stretch, and we would toss and see if we can get them to ring around. And your father was just, well, the flick of the wrist.
That's a very strange game.
It is indeed, but you'd be surprised. It's quite fun.
I believe you.
Yes. Well, anyhow, as I said, Thorfinn, Thievi, they send their regards. If you're ever traveling to Tharbad, they would be very happy to see you. They seem to long for better days of adventure and travel and such. Kinship, I think, is something they lack. when they returned from their journeys north with you, they said they found that their clan had, well, largely moved on. Some ventured here, others took the long journey to Erebor.
We are seeking allies. We will need to travel back to Angmar, but our slim numbers we're just insufficient for the task at hand.
Well, they are both very strong, capable folk. We had to scare away a few bandits on the road. Got the blood flowing again in this old dwarf. They were cooking up a mission of my own. It'll be many years yet before I do that. Well, they're interested. But there are more things to do between now and then. I won't bore you with my old man desires and here and there. However, I would say if you send word, I'm sure you might be able to convince them to take another trip with you, it seems.
Did you hear about our second trip into Angmar?
Well, let's see. Have we met since then?
We haven't, I don't believe. Did we?
I don't think so.
I don't
Right?
think so.
No, because he wasn't in
'Cause-
Bree when we came back either. Right?
Yeah.
This
and
is
we
Daggett
got-
first time meeting him.
This is
We
first
got
time
the
meeting
order
him, yeah.
from Lady Ortolos to go up there, so we didn't have a plan to go back up there so soon.
Yeah, it's been a while, I would say, since you probably had a face-to-face with him. Now that I think about it, I think I was doing like that kind of like a loud New Zealand, something like this, I think. I think this is what is, I don't know. I forget. I give up.
It's-
Last time we saw him was the first time we met Snagit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so too. So no, I don't think he's heard of it.
No, I did not. I didn't want to ask after asking about your elvish friend.
That's
imagine-
where we lost Sorendir.
He's fallen.
Right.
And
We don't know. For
No, they
certain.
lost him and they misplaced him.
He possibly left in the middle of the night, but we don't know. He didn't want to leave.
well, I'm very sorry to hear that, Miss Kettlegrass. Real Floy. It is never easy to lose a friend, companion. When Thorin put us together and we traveled to Erebor, not all of us survived. So I can tell you that I have keen understanding of what it is like to lose a dear friend. My sympathies.
Thanks. My true concern is how active it was while we were up there.
Active. How so?
There, and she goes into like everything we came across.
Well, it is very alarming indeed. Very alarming.
Kind of gives it some thought. These big old bushy eyebrows kind of come down over his eyes.
An ice streak, you say?
Yeah. And the elves, one of them, she was having visions of these dark creatures and she was sculpting them out of stone. And I sketched some and she'll flip through and show him.
Your skill has improved, Miss Kettlegrass. I wish for you to have better subjects someday. Oh, yeah,
Me
yeah.
too. Me too.
Oh, dear, that is quite frightening.
There's a dwarf and she quickly flips the page to like the next one.
What was that? Was that his? Oh, my.
Cheeks
No,
kind of grow
it's
red.
just chest up, you know.
So much
Well.
hair.
Yeah.
Is that his beard or is that? No, that's his chest hair.
Okay. I mean, like you'll swap stories and such, and he'll listen. You'll tell him everything you went through, Sorendir, things you saw in Othringol. but you've gotten some rumors. Anything else you want to ask him or get from him or something? But otherwise, that is your Gather Rumors event or undertaking.
I think the only thing Gilly would press is if you do come across anyone else who you think would be willing to undertake an excursion that we might not return from to Angmar, if you could please put them in contact with us.
I don't think it quite works that way, Miss Kettlegrass, unfortunately. I think a request of this kind probably is best coming from those who are doing the venturing, and I am much too old. I would imagine with the 4 of you young folk, well, 3 of you young folk, and well, you don't look too old there, Mr. Daggett. I'm sure you can find good allies, but I'll put the word out if there's any. But I would imagine that is something for you all to be doing.
That is why we are looking for somewhere to travel and allies to join the fight.
I can tell you your friends are keen to meet up with you again. Thebe spoke quite highly of you, Mr. Floyd. Very, very highly. What a kind young dwarf she was. Yes.
We shall pay them a visit.
Yeah.
Oh, indeed. Well, pass along my best. I'm afraid I have some business to be attending to, and got to go see a man about a pony. Last time I was here, I purchased one, and it's gone and eaten all my stock. Anyhow, good day to you all. See me before you leave. I'll have a drink and a smoke.
Kind of winks at Gilly, and off he goes. So that was your audience purchased undertaking.
Yes.
So there was a last one that you guys wanted to do?
Yes.
We decided with the chat there?
I think so.
The free one is, I think, is just strength and fellowship.
Yeah.
Strength and fellowship?
All right.
Okay.
So,
which comes from the captain.
Yeah, Daggett, after hearing about this strange new game, would like to go get some iron posts and some horseshoes, and he'll try to find as flat a spot as we can in the mountains. Maybe it's pretty steep, but we're going sideways at least. And he'll drive them in there. I don't know how to play this, but let's say 1 point if you're touching the post, 3 points if you get a ring around it.
Let's have a go.
All right, dwarves will be team captains. Floyd, you pick first.
Yeah, Renil.
Damn it. I mean, yeah, Gilly.
I don't feel like playing.
Wow.
I'm always picked last.
There were only 2 options.
You know what? I think we should do put the dwarves together on a team, Gilly. What do you say? Put the dwarves together and we can be on a team.
It's fine.
No, let's put the dwarves together on a team.
Let's do that.
That's fair. 1 tall, 1 short, and then 2 dwarves. That balances out.
I think we can beat them, Gilly.
Okay. Here's what we're going to do. Athletics checks from both sides. So everyone's going to roll athletics check. The total number of successes from each side. No magical successes allowed. We're playing this straight up. No audience dice allowed. We're playing this straight up. This is just purely what you've got.
Use magic.
No magic, nothing like that. It's just pure roll. That's it. And then we count up the total.
Great success.
So how many did you get? How many successes, Long?
Extraordinary for 3 total.
So it's 3 total from Long.
That's good because I got
Floyd.
0.
0 from Daggett. Aurenial.
Great success. So 2.
2. Gilly.
Great success.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I did.
No,
I believe you.
I suck at this game.
So we see this going back and forth, and it's kind of a weird game. You're not wrong, and like at a certain point, you're interrupted about like, why did you take all my? What are you doing? As he kind of comes over and he's like, oh, you see, the guy from the stables, the pony stable, the stabler, and he's like, why would you take all my horseshoes here? I got to put them
on the ponies. Is now the is that one everything you've hoped he'd be? Yeah.
I have bite marks all over my face.
Oh,
All right, Rudd, this is going to be the best game that you've ever played.
Well, sure. I would very much like those shoes back if that's all right. And look at all them love kisses. Oh, that old pony must really love you. And then we kind of see a montage of you all going back and forth playing this game of horseshoes. And then at the end of the day, Gilly, Auriniel come out victorious. The dwarves fall. And yeah, we'll say that is the end of your strength and fellowship. So that'll give
as
you...
we're playing the game, if that's okay. Daggett would like to, maybe in between rounds, as we're setting up again, he'd like to broach the subject. It's not hard to pick up that you all are planning to go back to Angmar, and you're looking for allies to help you.
Yes.
What do you say I join you?
I drew your picture. You're already part of the group. But yeah, that would be lovely. Yes.
As long as you're battling, it's not as bad as your horseshoe playing. It's fine with me.
Yeah. You didn't want me on your team.
It's the wind. It's blowing. Whenever I throw, you feel that gust of wind come and it takes the horseshoe.
I do believe that maybe while we take our next journey, we might want to tell you a bit more. I know we've made insinuations about the dangers that we faced, but I believe perhaps we should tell you a bit more in detail about the things that have occurred, so that if you, after hearing all those stories, still believe that you want to join us, then it appears that we would be happy to have you by our side.
Well, to put it bluntly, Cragstone and Glad Rock, while they're some of the most beautiful places, they're not my home. And if I could travel with you, I would appreciate it.
Welcome aboard then, cousin. I'll just grasp his hand.
Oh, you twisted. I'm not going to be able to throw the rest of the afternoon.
And that's exactly what happens, as you never get a ringer or a leaner or anything, and Daggett is just completely useless as the first impression. This is his official entry into the Angmar Fellowship.
Were you just Googling horseshoe terms?
No, I used to play horseshoes when I was a kid. No, I
oh, really?
I played horseshoes. Yeah. I've done horseshoes in other games too.
God.
Yeah, I know, right?
That feels like I played horseshoes in a second life.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So you all get +1 to your fellowship until the next fellowship phase. You have one extra fellowship point to play around with before the next time.
Should we roll the insult, Jeff?
That was such a fun part of that horseshoe
I
game.
maintain that is on paper an excellent mini game, but it was also the second time we ever recorded an actual game. Listen,
That's true. Yeah.
they're burying the lead here. We're gonna go ahead and end on that, I think, as we've been playing for 2.5 hours. And then we will pick up next time with planning our journey, wherever we're going next, and figuring out what we're going to do next. But yeah, we're referencing an old podcast that we did. Like our first, it's rough. It's bad. Look back to it. But anyhow, yeah.
But we, as always, enjoy our fellowship phases and the fun things that we get to do.
Always great.
I really like Jetty. He's become my favorite character. Like, I want to bring him back. He's just the best. He just interrupts you and doesn't understand jokes. He's just the best. Oh God, he's so much fun.
Jeff is a troll at heart.
A little bit.
That was fun. I really wanted to do the riddle, and it's worked out better than I could have hoped it would to get my one riddle pip.
All right. So what are we doing next? What do we got going on next? So next up for us is Monday. We are back to Holler for Savage Worlds. You can see Melissa and I in that game. Yeah, let's see what we got. Oh, Tuesday. Steven, what's going on Tuesday?
If you're not celebrating Valentine's, then you should come be our Valentine on Tuesday and play some Forbidden Lands with us. Jeff will be there. Melissa will be there. Kipser will be there. Aaron loves his wife, so he's bowing out, but it's okay. We're going to do some exploring. We're going to go through a couple hexes and see where the party ends up.
We're going to avoid combat entirely as he's...
Oh, no, this is the time to do it.
No, we avoid it. You win.
Run away.
Next Friday, we've got our we have 3 different free league games going on. We got this one, we've got the Forbidden Lands game, and next Friday we got Blade Runner. Our Friday game, we alternate between Blade Runner and between Conan, which we just kind of cooked up characters for last night. So come back next Friday for some Blade Runner. We'll be back a week from today for more One Ring. Check out the YouTube channel. Just look up Adventures in Lollygagging. You'll find our channel. All sorts of games. Right now, we've got a Horror on the Orient Express for Call of Cthulhu going. Just started up. Blade Runner, One Ring, Holler, Forbidden Lands. But we got a lot of old games too. We got Alien. We got Haunted West. We got Deadlands. Plenty of other games to go look and watch and all that good stuff. And you can see how we've gotten... I think better at this, and also, some of us have lost a little weight, but it's me. But yeah, I think that's
great,
it,
Jeff.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
You're stunning.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, let's go ahead and raid Boys from the Baltic Star. Our friends over there, they're playing a game right now. So go ahead, click that raid now button when you see it pop up. Follow us, follow them. Follow everybody. It's great. Have a good rest of your weekend, and we'll see you on Monday. So bye-bye.
Bye.